Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today for Sketchbook Sunday, we are going to sketch this cute strawberry shortcake type dessert. It looks like it's in kind of a waffle cup cone type thing, using gouache and a couple other medias, but mostly gouache. I'm working in my favorite sketchbook, the Fabriano Venice book. I've been using some other things the last couple of weeks, and I couldn't wait to get back to my tried and true favorite. And I'm using some gouache that I've had for about a month, but I haven't really used that much other than to just doodle. I'm starting with my real brush pens. These are the Arteza ones. Use whatever kind you want. And I'm sketching just in the basic shapes. The waffle cup cone thing. It looks like it's like a soft waffle type dessert dish. And then the main focal point strawberry, some whipped cream, and also some little slices of strawberries that are going around the perimeter. I love sketching in with the markers because they're water-based. They will bleed into the gouache and disappear a little bit. And I just get that instant gratification of quickly sketching, which is something that's so fun. I really enjoy doing that. I could have taken a little bit more time, and I probably should have, quite frankly, taken a little bit more time to make sure that my sketch was a little more accurate, but you know, I just wanted to jump in and play, really. So, you know, some days are like that. I'm using some burnt umber and yellow ochre to kind of get the shadows on the cone cup, and then I'm taking some white and yellow ochre to get the highlight areas around there. This layer is all about blocking in, and I'm just trying to get kind of like a coat of gouache on everything. The reason I like using gouache so much in my sketchbook is that it gives you a very flat, thin, matte layer. So if you love it in gouache and that's all you want to do, perfect, leave it. But if you decide you want to go over it with colored pencils, acrylics, markers, pens, anything like that, you've got this toothy surface that easily accepts other media, which is really, really nice. So if you like to do art journaling, if you like working in a sketchbook but you want a little bit more hefty color, try gouache. It really is nice to work with. The brand that I'm working with is called Himi, H-I-M-I, and I'll link it down below. Somebody had asked for a review on this product, and it's quite affordable. It's about $17 or $18 for the set of 18 colors in this beautiful palette. And the palette itself is gorgeous. It actually comes with a mixing tray and a lid that locks down, and each of those little cups of color is removable. It's kind of like if you go to a restaurant and for breakfast and you have those cups of jelly with the little peel off tops. That's what they are. That's what the containers are like, and you can pull them out and there's separate containers within there. So you could either refill the jelly cups if you wanted to, or you could take them out and you could just use the palette the way it is with all the sections. It's just kind of neat. But I'll have a review on that after I've used it a little bit more, because I like to get a few paintings under my belt before I go ahead and give my opinion on the paint. But so far so good, and the palette is excellent. So I'm basically filling in. I wanted to try, you probably saw me grab a tube of white. I was curious as to how opaque the white was in this gouache palette here. I was feeling like it wasn't as opaque as other brands, and it does seem like the Renaissance gouache that I had in the tube was more opaque than the white that comes in this kit. So that's something else I'll be testing. I did swatch it all out on white and black, and I noticed that it's not my most opaque gouache, but yeah, every brand is a little bit different. My palette is pretty limited here. I'm using two shades of red. I'm using like a crimson, like a really crisp crimson color, cool red, and I'm also using a scarlet or vermilion. It's more of like a more cadmium red. It's that warmer red. So I get a really nice variety of reds, and with strawberries I wanted to make sure I had a good range of red. I've also got yellow ochre for my yellow, which, you know, I could have opted for a brighter yellow, maybe I should have, but I really didn't need it, so I decided I would keep it kind of muted. And ultramarine blue for my blue. I did use two browns. I used a brown sienna and a burnt umber, but you know, that's what I used for colors. So these colors did mix well together. I didn't get mud, which is really important when you're working with colors. Even if I have 18 colors, I'm not going to use 18 colors in one painting. I'm definitely going to mix. And if you can't mix with the colors that you have because they go muddy, then that's going to give you problems down the road, and it's going to make it harder for you to develop those skills for mixing, which is one of the most important skills as a painter. If you want a real-time version of this tutorial, it's up in Critique Club right now, so Critique Club members can have a look at it. It's about an hour long, so if you wanted to paint along, you could. It's not too complex. I mean, I'm going in now and like blending into some of the colors, like the strawberries. I painted the rims in red and then I went in with some white and blended that color inward so I would just kind of get that gradation. And on the outside of the strawberry slices, I'm putting the crimson because I wanted to get the skin darker than the inside flesh, because generally the skin is really dark, and then when you slice it, you'll see that that dark crimson color kind of fades into a coral and then into the white of the center. So I just wanted to kind of quickly get that effect. This is definitely not like photorealism or anything. It's a definitely impressionistic style of, or almost a pop art impressionistic style of this dessert, which I love that style. I think that would be really fun to do some paintings like that to decorate a kitchen if you like that kind of 50s diner ambiance, which I do. I like that. I zoomed in a little bit. This is the first layer dry, and I let it dry for, actually I had to go and chauffeur some kids around, so I let it dry for about an hour, which is nice to give your eyes a break. I actually took several breaks in this painting. I took another break to have a cup of tea and just to kind of give my eyes a little bit of a break, because I've been straining them a lot with screens and close work and stuff. I'm painting the seeds in with a mixture of crimson and ultramarine blue because I didn't see bright yellow seeds on the center strawberry. I saw more black seeds, it looked like, or dents where the seeds would be. I think it depends on how fresh the strawberries are, whether you get yellow seeds or black seeds, but it could be a different breed, I'm not sure. And I'm highlighting with yellow ochre and white. The only downside of using the yellow ochre, because it's more of an earth tone versus a bright primary, is that you can lose that freshness, and it can make like fruit or flowers or something like that feel like it's gone by a little bit. So that's the only downside. If I used a lemon instead, it might have been a little fresher, but I didn't want to introduce another color at this point in the painting. I think you're much better off to make sure your values are right rather than your color, if it comes between the two. And also adding in colors after you've already established everything, I think can look a little amateurish. So if I know I'm gonna want, I try to get every color that I know I'm gonna want in at the bat, right off the bat, so that I don't have any discordant weird colors at the end. I mean, just learning how to get whatever you can out of those first colors you pick and working with a limited palette will make your work look so much more professional. Even if you don't do anything else, just limiting your palette is going to make your work look more harmonious and professional looking. I'm using some fresh bright white here to highlight the edges of the bananas, also inside some of the strawberries where it's really light. I want to kind of get some of these highlights in and get a little depth because I'm feeling like everything still looks pretty flat. I'm putting some little stripes of the red into the strawberries, kind of going from the center to the skin, because you do get that kind of striation there. Even though, you know, you're not seeing any of those strawberries close up or anything, I just wanted to get the impression of those little details. And I'm putting a few of the seeds with like that kind of dark purpley mix on the edges of the strawberry skin. Noticed on the skin that I could see some lighter strawberries, so I did take some yellow ochre and white and dab in a few lighter strawberry seeds just to give it that interest. I think, you know, if you can find little details like that, it goes a long way when you add them in. Now I want to get fluffy, light looking whipped cream, so I switched to a bigger brush. This is like a number 6 filbert, I think, and I'm trying putting in some thick passages of the white gouache because I felt like it looked a little too heavy and thin, and I wanted it like thick, fluffy, and opaque. But I realized that brush was too cumbersome to get in the details, so I switched to a 1/4 inch angle brush, and then I had to go back in and add some shadows because I had completely obliterated them. But that's all right because I needed that kind of thick, soft, creamy look, and I was able to get that by going into that shadow color that I had mixed. It was burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, a little bit of yellow ochre that I had used for the kind of the table under the dessert. So I wanted to bring that into the frosting as well. And at this stage, I'm just kind of puttering around, adding details, and now I can go in and add the chocolate drizzle. So everything's dried underneath. I think that's when I took my tea break after I put the frosting in. I'm just putting drizzles of brown. This is burnt umber on its own. And when I'm putting these strips of color down, I'm making sure that I pay attention to the strawberries and the bumps in the whipped cream so that I can make that chocolate ride those contours. So it helps make the piece look a little more three-dimensional and a little true. You don't want straight stripes here because it's going to make everything underneath it look smooth, and we have bumps there and we want to capture that. And as I was looking at my reference photo, I noticed that they must have put that row of strawberries on the edge after they did the chocolate drizzle, so I kind of went around the strawberries underneath and added a little bit of drizzle there and just kind of tucked in what I could, and it also helped get a little bit of depth into the center of the dessert. I'm taking some of that color too and adding the deepest shadows on the waffle cone area, which there isn't a lot, but I did want to get that in there. And then I'm taking some burnt sienna and some yellow ochre to warm it up and stipple on some texture and some details, like where you have kind of like crispy edges and whatnot. I'm using a white paint pen. You could use a gel pen or a colored pencil here to add some shine on the chocolate drizzle. And the reason I'm doing the paint pen, even though I'm going to be using colored pencil too, is because it's hard to stick the paint pen or gel pen on top of colored pencil, but it's really easy on the gouache, so I'm putting that in first. Also because the paint pen can be a little garish sometimes, I know I can tone it down with colored pencil if I need to. Now these double-ended pencils are kind of fun. They're the chameleon pencils, and I don't know why it went out of focus on me there. I'm sorry about that. But I'm using that to kind of scumble on some texture. And now we're back in focus again. You kind of see where I was. And another tip is if you had to use like muted colors, like that yellow ochre made things kind of muted, I'll use a fluorescent Prismacolor pencil and go over areas, and that just pops it right up. Now fluorescents can tend to fade, but this isn't a sketchbook, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm just adding some browns to the chocolate drizzle to warm it up a little bit because that burnt umber was almost black. And just some white highlights any place I wanted some brightness, but I didn't want it as bright as the pen. And that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you want the real-time version, go check out Critique Club. I'll link that down below, as well as a full supply list. Thank you so much for watching today, and until next time, happy crafting!